Welcome everybody, my name is Ola El Hosseini. In this tutorial I am going to show you how to use the if function. We use the if function if we want to evaluate a condition to true or false and return one value if true and another value if false. For example, if we use the if function to see if amounts spent are under or over budget, the result for true could be within budget, while the result for false could be over budget. Okay? The if function takes three arguments. The first one is the logical test. In this argument, we specify the condition you want to test. The second argument is value if true. We specify the value that we want returned if the result of logical test is true. The third one, the value if false. In this argument, we specify the value that you want returned if the result of logical test is false. Let me show you an example. In this example, I want to compare between the actual expenses and the predicted expenses. And if the actual expenses is greater than the predicted expenses, I want to return over budget. Otherwise, I want to return within budget. The first step, I select the cells which I want to type over budget or within budget. Then I click insert function like this. From the select a category, I choose logical. Then I choose if function. Or from most recently used, I can choose if function and press OK. The first argument, logical test, I specify my condition. So I select C2, then greater than P2. If the condition evaluated to true, I want to type over budget. So in value if true, I type over budget. And if the condition evaluated to false, I want to type within budget. So in value if false, I type within budget. If you notice, the wizard type double quotation around the text because we should to type double quotation around any text. Then I press OK. And copy down the formula. Okay, like this. Okay. In this cell, because the actual expenses greater than the predicted expenses, so the if function return over budget. And in this one, because the actual expenses less than the predicted expenses, the if statement return within budget. In this one, because the actual expenses equal to predicted expenses, so the if function return within budget. In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to make calculation with if function. In this tutorial, I have two examples. The first one, I want to add the shipping expenses to the sales amount. If the sales amount is greater than or equal 10,000, I want to add $20. Otherwise, I want to add $50. Let me show you how to do this. In the formula bar, I type equal. Then I select the sales amount, P6, plus F, opening the parentheses, and specify my condition. So if the sales amount greater than or equal 10,000, the shipping expenses is $20. Otherwise, the expenses is $50. Then closing the parentheses. What this exactly mean? This means I want to add the sales amount to the result of F fraction. Then I press enter and copy down the formula by double click the corner like this. The second example, I want to calculate the deduction amount based on the salary amount. If the salary is less than or equal 2,000, the deduction rate is 5%. Otherwise, the deduction rate is 7%. Let me show you how to do this. In the formula bar, I type equal, then the salary amount times F, opening the parentheses, and specify my condition. If the salary less than or equal 2,000, then the deduction rate is 5%, and I need to make this an absolute reference by pressing F4, because I want, when I copy down the formula, I want the P2 won't change to P3 and P4 and so on. Otherwise, the deduction rate is 7%, P3, and I need to make this an absolute reference by pressing F4 and close the parentheses. Let me explain what this exactly means. This means I want to multiply the salary amount to the result of the F statement and press enter and copy down the formula by pressing the corner, by double click the corner like this. In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to use nested F. When I use function inside another function, it calls nesting. I can use nested F up to 64 nested F. So when I use nested F, when I have multiple outcomes, in this case I use nested F. Like this example, I want to compare between the sales for February month and January month. If the February sales greater than January sales, I want to type up. Otherwise, if the February sales equal to January sales, I want to type break even. And if the February sales less than January sales, I want to type down. Let me show you how to do this. In the formula bar, I type equal, then I type F, then type opening parentheses, and I compare between the February sales and the January sales. So I type FC4 greater than P4, then I want to type up. Otherwise, I want to check for another condition, so I am going to type another or second F. So I type F, opening parentheses, and specify my condition. If February sales C4 equal January sales P4, then I want to type break even. Otherwise, I want to type down. And if you notice, I type double quotation around the text because I have to type double quotation around any text. In this example, I use two if statement, so I have to type two closing parentheses and press enter and copy down my formula by double click the corner. Okay, the first one, because February sales greater than January sales, if statement, the returned up. In this example, because February sales less than January sales, the return of the if statement down. In this example, in this case, because February sales equal to January sales, the if statement return break even. I have another example. Let me show you another example. In this example, I want to calculate the commission values for each salesperson. In this example, I have different sales rate. This commission rate is vary depending on the sales amount. If the sales amount is greater than or equal 30,000, the commission rate is 5%. And if the sales amount is greater than or equal 20,000, the commission rate is 3%. Otherwise, the commission rate is 1. Let me show you how to do this. In the formula bar, I type equal, then I type F, opening parentheses, and specify my condition. If the sales amount be 7, okay, greater than or equal, okay, as 30,000, so I have to select P2, and I need to make this an absolute reference by pressing F4. So when I copy down the formula, P2 won't change to P3 and so on. If the condition is true, the commission rate is 5%, so I select C2, and again I need to make this an absolute reference by pressing F4. Otherwise, I want to check for another condition, so I have to use a second F. So I type F, opening parentheses, and specify my condition. If the sales amount P7 greater than or equal 20,000, so I choose P3. And again, I need to make this an absolute reference by pressing F4. So the commission rate is 3%, so I have to choose C3. And again, I need to make this to be an absolute reference by pressing F4. Otherwise, the commission rate is 1%, so I choose C4 and make this an absolute reference by pressing F4. And I have to close the parentheses twice because I use the if statement twice. And in the front of the formula, I want to multiply the result of if statement by the sales amount, so I type P7 times. What this exactly means? This means I want to multiply the sales amount by the result of the if statement, and press enter and copy down the formula in the column by double click the corner like this. I hope this tutorial is useful for all of you. Thank you so much and see you in another tutorial.